Hello guys, welcome. Welcome to Ashutosh Coaching Center. Now today we are going to start. The chapter name is reproduction in organism. Reproduction होता क्या है? Reproduction is a biological process in which organism give rise to young ones and similar to itself. The reproduction becomes a vital process without which species cannot survive for a long. Okay, the offspring grow and the mature and in the turns produce new offspring. Okay, thus, there is a cycle of birth, growth, and death. Based on the participation of the one organism or two in the process of reproduction, it is of two types. First is asexual reproduction, when offspring is produced by the single parent or without the involvement of the gamete formation is called asexual reproduction. Okay, and asexual reproduction में कहा जाए तो when two parents opposite sex and the participate in the reproductive process and also involves the fusion of male and female gamete and it is called sexual reproduction. Okay, lifespan क्या होता है? The lifespan, the period from the birth to natural death of an organism represent its life and lifespan. Okay, a lifespan of organism varies from few days to थाउजेंड ऑफ ईयर. लाइक बटरफ्लाई का जो होता है 1 से लेकर 2 हफ्ते के बीच में, और जो बनाना होता है उसका बनियान जो होता है उसको 1000 ईयर्स तक में, ज़्यादा 1000 नहीं जाता, हालांकि ज़्यादा 300 से 400 है, बट 1000 ईयर्स तक नॉर्मली जो लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म होता है उसका लाइफ स्पैन चला जाता है. जैसे कि हमारा हो गया हमारा रेड वुड ट्री जो होता है, रेड क्या नाम है, रेड वुड एंड ट्री. रेड वुड ट्री जो होता है ना, इसका जो लाइफ स्पैन है ना वो करीब 3000 टू 4000 ईयर्स तक होता है, जो कि बहुत ज़्यादा है. अभी तक इससे ज़्यादा किसी का देखा तो नहीं गया है, तो आगे देखा जाएगा. ओके, अब आगे देखते हैं असेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन में देखते हैं. तो इन दिस मेथड अ सिंगल इंडिविजुअल अ parent is capable of producing offspring. As a result, and the formation and the offspring that are produced are not only identical to one another but are also exact copies of their parent. The term clone defines the morphological and the genetically similar and individual. Asexual reproduction is the common among the single cell organism and in the plants and animals with relatively simple organism. In Protista and the Monera, the plants, the parent cell divided into the two to give arise new individual. Thus, this organism cell division is mode of reproduction. Okay, and the binary fission कहते हैं. In this method of the asexual reproduction, cell divided into two halves and they rapidly grow into an adult. Example, amoeba and the potassium. Budding क्या है? The small buds are produced that remains attached to initially and the parents get separated on the maturity. Example, yeast. Okay, सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन क्या होता है? सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन इज द प्रोसेस ऑफ द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ मेल एंड फीमेल गैमेट्स एंड आइदर इन द सेम इंडिविजुअल or by the different individual of the opposite sex. Okay, these gamete fuses to form the zygote and which develop into the form and the new organism. The compared to the sexual reproduction and it is complex and the slow process because of the fusion of male gamete and female gamete, and sexual reproduction result in offspring that are not identical to the parents. All organisms reaches certain stages of growth and maturity in their lives and their life before they can produce sexually. देखो, अब जब देखा जाए डिफरेंट फेजेस इन द सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन, मतलब सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन में कुछ अलग अलग फेजेस दे रखे हैं, जैसे जुवेनाइल फेज हो गया, रिप्रोडक्टिव फेज हो गया, मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल हो गया, ऑस्ट्रियल साइकिल हो गया, वेजिटेटिव फेज हो गया. कोई दिक्कत यहाँ तक नहीं. जुवेनाइल फेज क्या होता है? देखो, द पीरियड बिटवीन द बर्थ टू द सेक्सुअली मेच्योर इज कॉल्ड जुवेनाइल फेज एंड in plant is called vegetative phase, and the end of the juvenile and the vegetative phase marks beginning from of the reproductive phase. Reproductive phase क्या होता है? Some plants show the flowering in the particular season and some flower are in all season. Some other plants like bamboo species and the flowers in lifetime. Okay, bamboo जो होता है वो sometimes और flower जो होता है वो lifetime. And the female placenta and animal exhibit a cyclic change in the activity ovaries and the accessory gland as well as in hormones during the reproductive phases. Menstrual cycle, it occurs in the monkey, apes, humans and beings. Cycle consists 3 phases and the menstrual uh, proliferative and the secretive phases. Blood flow in the last few days of the cycle, and the broken endometrium is the passed out during the menstruation. The females does not the permit and the copulation during the phase of cycle. Estrous cycle क्या होता है? It occurs in the non-primate like cow, sheep, and so on. The cow, sheep, rat, deer, dog, tiger, etc. so on. And it consists of a short period of oestrus or the heat. It is 12 to 24 hours in the cow, followed by the anostrus or the passive period. Blood does not flow in this cycle. The broken endometrium is absorbed, and the female permit the copulation only during the oestrus period. Both in the animals and plants and animals, hormones are responsible for the transitional between the different phases of the lifestyle. Interaction between the hormones and the environmental factor are regulated the reproductive process. And sensational phase क्या होता है? It is the end of the reproductive phase, and the old unlimited unlimited to the death is called sensational phase. Okay, अब देखिए कुछ इवेंट है सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन में. इवेंट इन द सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन. Sexual reproduction is characterized by the fusion or the fertilization of the male and the female gametes. Okay, the formation of zygote and the embryogenesis. These sequentially events are grouped into the three distinct stages and the pre-fertilization, fertilization, and the post-fertilization. Pre-fertilization event क्या होता है? All events prior to the form fusion of gametes are included in it. It includes gametogenesis and the gamete transfer. They are the main two. They are the two main pre-fertilization event are gametogenesis and the gamete transfer. Gametogenesis क्या होता है? तो gametogenesis is the process of the formation of two type of gametes, and the male gamete and the female gamete. Gametes are haploid and which may be similar or dissimilar in the structure. In some algae, the two gametes are so similar appearance that is not possible and to categorize them into male and the female gametes, and they are called homozygote or isogametes. In higher organisms that are produces the sexually or two morphologically distinct and gametes are formed heterogametes. The male gametes are called antherozoid and or sperm, and female gametes are called ovum or eggs. ओके आइसोगेमस इसका फोटो जान लो. एंड देखो इसको कोई दिक्कत की बात तो है नहीं ना. इसका भी फोटो ले ही लो. काफ़ी काम आया कि बेसिक है. सब बेसिक चीज़ जो होते हैं वो दिमाग में होना चाहिए. इसको बेसिक भी कहते हैं और यही जो होता है उन्होंने पूछते हैं लोग. ओके कोई दिक्कत नहीं. In fungi and plant, homothalic and the monoecious and terms are used to the denoted the bisexual condition, and the heterothalic and the dithecous are used to unisexual condition. In flowering plant, the unisexual females are staminate and that is bearing the stamen, and while the female is pistillate and the bearing the pistil. And in animal species and the possessing both male and female and reproductive organs in same individual are called bisexual and the hermaphrodite. Earthworm, sponges, by tapeworm, both having the either male or the female reproductive organs and are called unisexual. Cockroach and humans. The gametes always haploid, having itself of the set of chromosome, although the organism may be haploid and diploid. Diploid organism forms gametes by the mitotic division. The organisms belonging to the algae and the fungi and the bryophyta have been haploid plant body, and the pteridophyta and gymnosperm and geosperm and the most of the animals are diploid, having the double set of chromosome. In double organism डिप्लॉयड ऑर्गेनिज्म द गैमेट्स मदर सेल यानी कि इसको कहते हैं जीएमसी भी कहते हैं मियोसाइट्स एंड अंडरगोज मियोसाइट इन द विच वन सेट ऑफ क्रोमोसोम इज प्रेजेंट इन द गैमेट्स. गैमेट ट्रांसफर क्या होता है देखो. द मेल एंड द फीमेल गैमेट मस्ट बी फिजिकली ब्राउच टुगेदर एंड द फैसिलिटेट द फ्यूज एंड द फर्टिलाइजेशन. एंड इन मेजॉरिटी ऑफ ऑर्गेनिज्म द मेल गैमेट इज मोटाइल एंड द फीमेल इज नॉट मोटाइल, और कह सकते हो स्टेशनरी एक्सेप्ट इन द फंजाई एंड द एल्गी in which both gametes are motile. There is a need for a medium through the which is male gamete move. In several sample plant like algae, bryophyta, pteridophyta, water is the medium through the this gamete transfer takes place, and the large number of male gamete and however fails to reach and female gametes. The compensate to this loss of male gametes during the transport, and the number of male gametes produced in a several thousand of times and the number of female gametes produces. In the seeds क्या देखा जाता है, pollen grains are the one of the carrier of male gamete and the ovules have the egg. Pollen grains produced in the anther, therefore the having have to be transferred to the stigma before it can be lead to fertilization. In bisexual self fertilization plant, example peas, transfer of pollen grains to the stigma and is relative easy to, as anther and the stigma are located too close to each other, and the pollen grains soon after by the they are shed and compact in and come in contact with stigma. But in cross pollination plant, including the dioecious plant, a specialized event called pollination facilitate transfer of pollen tubes to grains to the stigma. The pollen grains germinate on the stigma and the pollen tubes carrying on the male gametes reach the ovules and the discharge male gamete near the egg. अब देखा जाए डायोसियस एनिमल में, तो सिंस द मेल and the female gametes are formed in the different individual, okay, different individual, the organism must be involved the special mechanism to gamete transfer, successful transfer and the coming together the gamete to the is essential for the most critical event is called is sexual reproduction is known as fertilization. fertilization अब क्या होता है देखो, the fusion of male and female gamete is called fertilization or syngamy result in the formation of diploid zygote. Okay, and in some organisms like for rotifier, honeybee, and even some lizard and some birds, in the female gamete undergoes development to form a new organism and without fertilization. This process is called parthenogenesis. Okay, the reason behind the syngamy in most aquatic organisms like majority of algae and fishes are as well as amphibian syngamy occurs in the external medium water and outside the body of organism, and this type of gametic fusion of external fertilization organism with the external fertilization show great and the synchrony between the sexes and release a large number of gamete into the surrounding medium like water in order to enhance the chances of syngamy. For example, in fishes and the frogs, a large number of offspring are produced inside the water, and the major disadvantages is that offspring are extremely vulnerable and predators threatening their survival up to the adulthood. In many terrestrial organisms like fungi, higher animals such as reptiles, birds, mammals, and in a majority of plants, bryophyta, pteridophyta, gymnosperm, and geosperm, syngamy occurs inside the body of the organism. Hence, the process is called internal fertilization. In all these organisms with an internal fertilization, egg is formed inside the female body where they fuse and with the male gamete. In organism have internal fertilization and the male gamete is motile and has reached the egg is ordered to the fuse with it, and in this even though the number of sperm producer is very large and there is a significant reduction in the number of eggs produces, whereas in the seed plants and non-motile male gametes are carried to the female gamete by the pollen tubes. पोस्ट फर्टिलाइजेशन इवेंट क्या होता है, द इवेंट इन द सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन विच अकर आफ्टर फॉर्मेशन ऑफ जाइगोट एंड कॉल्ड पोस्ट फर्टिलाइजेशन इवेंट. जाइगोट क्या होता है, फॉर्मेशन ऑफ डिप्लॉयड जाइगोट इज यूनिवर्सल इन ऑल सेक्सुअल रिप्रोड्यूसिंग ऑर्गेनिज्म. इन ऑर्गेनिज्म विद द एक्सटर्नल फर्टिलाइजेशन जाइगोट इज फॉर्म्ड external medium and usually water, whereas in those exhibiting internal fertilization zygote and the formation formed inside the body of organism. The further development of zygote and depend on the type of life cycle and the organism and the environment is exposed to. In organisms belonging to the fungi, algae, and developed zygote develop a thick wall and that is resistant and to dissociation, the desiccation and external dryness and damage and undergoes a period of rest germination. Zygote is a vital link that make sure the continuity of species between the organism of one generation and the next. Every sexual reproducing and organism, including the human beings, and life as a single cell known as the zygote. Okay, एम्ब्रियोजेनेसिस क्या होता है? द प्रोसेस ऑफ डेवलपिंग एम्ब्रियो फ्रॉम द जाइगोट इज नोन एज एम्ब्रियोजेनेसिस एंड द ड्यूरिंग द एम्ब्रियोजेनेसिस द जाइगोट अंडरगोज सेल डिवीजन माइटोसिस एंड द differentiation. The cell division increases the number of cells and in the developing embryo, and the cell differentiation help in the group of cell to undergo certain modification of to form the specialized tissue and the organs to form an organism based on the development of zygote, which take place either outside and the body of female and the parent or the others other or inside the animals, are categorized into the oviparous and the aviparous, that is whether they lay fertilized and unfertilized egg or give to the young ones. In oviparous and animals like reptiles and birds, and the fertilized egg covered by the hard calcareous and cell are laid in a safe place in the environment. After a period of incubation and young ones come out. Whereas in viviparous animals, in the majority of mammals, including humans beings, zygote develop in a young one inside the body of the female organism. After a certain age of growth, the young ones are delivered out of the body of female organism. Due to the proper care and the protection, the chance of survival of young ones greater than viviparous. Okay, greater than viviparous organisms. And in flowering plants, the zygote is formed inside the ovules, and after fertilization, the sepal and the petals step in of the flowers, whether and fall off. Okay, so guys, this chapter has been completely finished. So I hope ये वीडियो आपको बहुत अच्छा लगा होगा. तो you are a part of journey of NEET, as you know, and so like, share and subscribe as you can. जितना हो सके like, share, subscribe करें. Bye bye and see you in next video.